Down there are at low 13,000 victims of contemporary bondage residing in Britain's towns and cities, it is alleged. But lot claim how the quantity is perhaps lot high. Such who flee or are found frequently restore constructively but afflict of position traumatic distress disturbance or concern attacks. They are frightened of the police force, and for several their feeling of confidence has been so eroded how they are though frightened to attract in charities. I encounter one man who controlled to flee the contemporary slavers and is now searching to restore his lifetime there in Britain. The at first item you note on Peter, know his actual behalf, is his huge smiling. He is hot and outdoor, and acute to say on his friend. Can I show you a image? We are planner to go to Spain for a little feast quickly a pay feast. He plant de-stocking shelves in a company upkeep and tells me he loves all on it, the officer, the several hours, his associate. Same's one of the at first half a dozen human beings to grade of the company ops vivid future schema that helps survivors of contemporary bondage into job. They're taking into account a 4-person's week job accommodation, that ends in a non-competitive interviewing. If both of parties are lucky down there is a complete time job on propose. Peter is a man rupture in hopefulness on the next, that is spectacular while you find his history. He came to England in 2014, he says, to job, I came there to be lucky. He consumable period as a worker and a waitress up a boyfriend proposed him a job on £50 a day in a car clean. The 12-time days were consumable wet and common cold out of crushed, and Peter quickly found he wouldn't get pay for any of it. Worst was to go. The building same D been located in was protected by men who wouldn't let him keep, separately of 2 outdoor banking accounts in counterfeit ID they'd taking into account him. Why didn't you work, I ask him. I had no opportunity for fleeing, he replies. Down there were ever 2 or 3 big men in me. They took my telephone, they took all. I was in a jail, if I tested to flee they told they would murder me. Peter's flee came one overnight while his guard were drunken and he ran to the police force. Via the household office space's domestic direction schema he was undertaken to a secure building, and put in concern in the Mercy Town Hearts who ensure supporting for survivors of contemporary bondage. Kirsty is a supporting focal point and is helped to increase the company op schema. Giver survivors a job is in total play converter. They find out to vision once again, to see into a next, she says. How next was one day undertaken of them. He's the top sense in the planet while they speak me they've made the largest regular things love go for a sip in a fellow. To who someone's had to find out to confidence all above once again, how's enormous. The company op wants some business community to see at their pattern, and believe on how they can supporting survivors. They include detained meetings in 12 various companies consisting Tesco and the Flesh Store to undergo on which spin scientific. I encounter Pippa Wicks in a company upkeep wherever she's pride to say on the team's charitable story. As the company op team's vice head execution she believes the vivid future schema fits in its spirit. In 1844 its members campaigned versus bondage in the joint state. At their AGM more than rather than 170 year after they solved it was period to attention on victims of bondage once again. It hasn't been lightweight. They don't include things love references, drive licenses, or banking accounts so we've had to adjust HR sharply, she tells me. We as well job difficult to defend their anonymous, he's up to them to speak their associate on their story. But we sense we gain too much, not fair of help human beings who requirement it, but of a sumptuously various labor. Peter has solved sames not prepared yet stake his history in associate, separately of his friend whom he met via his new work. He wants to delight his new safety and liberty. But down there is one liberty he will never restore, up we keep. I ask him if down there are any plans to trip his household nation. I believe no. The human beings might aware I am behind, and he's too dangerous. I am sad for since my mom is old and my sibling are down there. Yet I believe I can't go household, they include undertaken how off of me.